Samantha. You're not usually in book club. What are you doing here, Samantha? Good morning. We are okay. We will see how it goes, right? For the moment, we're awake, but we're happy. So, you know, my hair tells the story, right? Does mommy's hair tell the story? Oh, really? That was quite a big burp, my love. That was quite a big burp, huh? Yeah. We were okay to mommy last night. We woke up a couple of times because we're in a sleep regression. So, you know, we did what we had to do. We ate and we went back to sleep. It happens, right? It's okay. It's okay, my angel. You can do whatever you need to do. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, how are you feeling, Stephanie? Like, give us an update, if you will. You know? What do we got? What do we got? Is Stephanie gonna give us an update? Yeah. You need a little bit better support, my angel. You need a little bit better of a curve. Can you do a little curvy? Don't press yourself so hard against mommy. Yeah. And how you're feeling? Other than, you know, that you can't have cloud slime, which is a bummer, right? There's a weird sound happening outside, and I don't like it. Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate that. Hello. It smells so good. I think coffee so bad. Good morning, Samantha. We have Samantha and a Samantha in the house. What are the odds? You didn't miss anything yesterday, Samantha, because we didn't get to have book club yesterday. Because we started it, and then somebody said no. So, you missed nothing. We're reading that whole chapter over again today. Oh, Amanda, I know you guys would, but everyone who would read already knows what we're reading, so what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? I put that caption there because the only people who ever ask, what are you reading, don't read the thing. But the people who know, who read it, they already know what we're reading because you're here every day, you know? Do you guys want to know when is the newest restock for non-Patreon members? I'm going to be making a video about that soon, but it's going to be a little while. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a little while before I have a public restock. Again, sorry, Liz doesn't know this yet, because I think she wasn't on Patreon last night because she was on vacation, but I'm not going to be able to do one before, you didn't miss it, Lauren, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to do one before we leave to take the baby to meet my husband's family, so our next public restock will be when we get back. I don't have the capacity to do a public restock right now, and I only have a week left before we go, so I just have to do Patreon stuff right now. That being said, Lauren, Patreon, yeah, the night before, but yes, essentially. Lauren, though, I will tell you, I am letting grab bag people choose from the remaining restock stuff for their June grab bag. I haven't gotten to it yet, Brittany, but I will. So if you want to get a slime from this restock, you can just join for 1 month and get to pick what you're getting, and then cancel if you don't want to stay with grab bag, but they're getting to choose from the remaining stuff. So it's kind of like a restock, but it's just keeping it to that stuff, because releasing it to the public means handling all of the public's emails and everything, and I just can't do it. In 2 weeks now. That's a really exciting time, Lauren. Oh, that's the best feeling. Truly it is. Hey, Nikki, how are you? Wait, you read it too? Yeah, no, I mean, I knew you would read it. That doesn't surprise me, you guys. None of you surprise me. It's the randos that just pop in and they're like, what are you reading? Those are the ones I wrote it for. It doesn't mean that there's no slime. It doesn't mean that people's orders aren't getting filled. None of that is true. It just means that I'm keeping it to a small group until I get my head on straight. That's all it means. So, yeah. That's all it means. Generally speaking, a public restock is a lot more work than one for Patreon because, yeah, exactly, Amanda. That's exactly right. It's just a lot more work, you know? It really is. And as my husband correctly pointed out, this little lady is also a full-time job, so I have 2 full-time jobs currently. Yeah, exactly, Amanda. So currently I am trying to work 2 different jobs, and it's a lot, you know? So we're gonna just do it a little easy on this one. Yeah. Oh, good burp. Yeah, good burp, honey. Good burp. Yeah. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it. What's the matter, honey? What's the matter, my angel? Boop, 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 boop. You look so tired. I totally understand having to go back. Yeah, exactly. It's so hard. Yeah, she's grown so much, Lauren. But you know what's funny? And Becca's not in here right now, but she would tell you if she were in here. She looks bigger on camera than she is in real life. It's really hard. All right, bye, Liz. See you later. It's really hard to run a small business by yourself, and bye, Liz. And have a newborn. Real hard. Yeah. I went back to work when she was 3 weeks old, and it's been a journey for sure. It's been a journey for sure. Ooh. Uh-oh. I may have overfilled that. Let's see if I can sip it down. But her head isn't supported. I only said that because I know you guys saw me support her head just now. People are always like, you know, commenting that about the wraps. They're like, but her head. I'm like, her head is fine. Also, she can lift it now, so like, it's extra fine. But I do, she was like, you're trying to work and take care of baby at the same time. Yeah, it is, it's a bit rocky, it's true. It's true. Okay, let's wash this out and then we're gonna go read, okay? How do you feel about that? Do you think we can read today? What do you think? What do you think of reading today? You love reading usually, so maybe we could do it. What do you think? It'll be kind of fun for all of us. We're supposed to be reading chapter 4. What do you think of chapter 4? I mean, the truth is, you have never read chapter 4. So you don't even know if it's good or not yet, right? So should we maybe try it? She does have neck muscles, yes. But even so, like, y'all know if I move, I still support her. And that's why I thought it was weird what they were saying. They were like, her head's too floppy. I was like, floppy? Look at this. Does this look floppy to you? She's not floppy. No. Yeah, no. Tell them no. Tell them. And she has collarbones, which she clearly got from me. My collarbones. If you know, you know. She has collarbones. And she fights against me, yes. No, no floppy. She's not floppy. Not floppy. It's literally exactly right, Emily. Exactly right. It is how they build strength. They have to... absolutely has collarbones. We are okay so far today, Isabella. How are you? Okay. Do you want to be with mommy or do you want to go in the bouncer? What do you think? What do you think, my angel? She seems extremely tired. She was so tired yesterday, you guys. Like, when we got off the live... Yeah, exactly. When we got off... Oh my gosh, Avery, happy birthday. I didn't know that. Aw, Avery. We love you so much. You guys, Avery's an OG. So, that's amazing. You want to say happy birthday? She can't say happy birthday because she fell asleep. Avery, you're a real one. I'm going to give you credit for this because you said it's my birthday and this child... fell asleep. So you know what? Oh my gosh, Nikki, it's your birthday too?
Well, freaking happy birthday to all our OGs. I guess it's just all your birthdays today. Happiest birthday to all of you. I love you guys so much. That's me trying to sustain my life with coffee. What time is it? Let's see, 8:42. Okay, good to know. Birthday twins. Yeah, right. We were just talking about that. Before I start reading, I'm going to say two things. The first is that I wanted to thank everyone for being patient with us yesterday. Ken and I are going to film my birthday slam tonight. Yes. I can't wait to see it. She was just really overtired yesterday, which she has been a lot because we're in a sleep regression. So like literally, we got off the live. I fought with her to get her into a rap, actually the Pride and Prejudice one from Nikki, good stuff. And she fell asleep instantly. But it was a journey to get her in the rap because as anyone who raps their babies knows, rapping a baby who is fighting with you is much, much harder than, we call that birthday triplets, Jen, that's birthday triplets. Much, much harder than rapping a calm baby. But she needed to go in the rap because regulating her with the rap is the only way that she naps during the day. So I had to do it, you know? But right now she is napping. So we're gonna take the win and we're gonna read. That rap has a lot of sleepy dust. It does. It's so soft also. It is by far the softest rap that I own, right? Yeah, Jen, that was pretty good. But I also wanna tell everyone who is in here right now, because this is obviously a lot of our obviously Liz isn't here, but I can talk to her separately. I want to thank you all for being here and being supportive on the regular, because this journey is not simple. It would be, being a mom in general is work, right? Lovable work. We love it. We chose it, you know, whatever. But being a mom and doing a business at the same time is like almost impossible, and my brain feels like exploding. But book club is extremely grounding for me. It's something that I look at as like my personal self-care, and I hope you all see it as your self-care as well. So the fact that you all continue to show up day after day and that we get to have this collective is really, it's a beautiful feeling, and I hope you all feel that like security in it as much as I do. You know what I mean? I hope you feel that way. I don't know that you do, you know, but it's really something that I consider my one like non-work, non-baby thing. It's like just for Sasha, even though it's not just for me, it's for all of us. It's one of my basic needs. Agreed. Yeah, I feel that way. Yeah, exactly. I look forward to it on a regular basis. It's very grounding. And I want to tell you, we were planning on taking all of the time when we were in Florida away from book club, but my husband brought up that there is going to be time when we could probably still do book club, maybe not at the exact same time, but I might, oh, okay, Vanessa, we'll see you. Don't even worry. I'll put it up later. But we might still have like, I might change it to like an afternoon book club. You're like, I'm gonna go. Yeah. I might do something, I don't know. When I'm at my brother-in-law's house, I'm gonna try to pop on at the same time, because we won't be going to the parks or whatever. When we're at Disney, we're not gonna go all day because baby. So I might pick a different reading so that people don't miss this book, and like in the afternoons just read something else, you know? So we're gonna work it out, because I was talking to my husband yesterday and he was like, you don't have to give up something that you love just because we're going away. You know what I mean? We're not going to like Europe like we did before. Like we're just going to Florida. It's only 3 hours. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's a good point. So I might sit in the room that my brother-in-law has for Secret Baby and I, because my husband won't be with us, and we might still do book club in the morning. So I'll keep you posted on that. Yeah, a lighter short story, exactly, something like that. Or like, I do have a collection of essays that, what was it? Who someone gave us a collection of essays that we should read. It's starting next week, Isabella. Totally, it might be nice for you to have that. Yeah, exactly. I will let you know if I see any Forky items. Yeah, if anyone wants me to keep an eye out for anything from Disney, let me know. I'm happy to be, what do you call it? Sasha self-care. But I hope it's self-care for you guys too. You know what I mean? So anyway, that was all I wanted to say about that. I wanted to say thank you. But we're going to read chapter 4 now, because she is sleeping. So let's take advantage of the sleeping. You know what I'm saying? Here we go. He could not have felt more exposed had he been standing naked in the middle of the Corso. At least then he would have had the option to escape. Now he was trapped and on display for the first time, appreciating the animal's inability to hide. Children had begun to chatter excitedly at his pointing at his school uniform, drawing attention of the adults. Faces were filling all the available space between the bars, but the real horror was a pair of cameras positioned at either end of the visitors. Capital News, with their omnipresent coverage and their saucy slogan, "If you didn't see it here, it didn't happen." Oh, it was happening, and to him too, now. He could feel his image going live all over the Capitol. Fortunately, shock rooted him to this spot, because the only thing worse than him standing amongst the district riffraff in the zoo would be him running around like a fool trying to escape it. There was no easy way out. It was built for wild animals, and attempting to hide would be even more pathetic. Imagine how delicious that footage would be for Capitol News. They would play it ad nauseum. They'd add silly music and captions. "Snow's meltdown!" And they'd make it part of the weather report. "It's too hot here for snow." They would rerun it as long as he lived, and his disgrace would be complete. What option did that leave him? Only to stand his ground, looking at the cameras dead in the eye until he was rescued. He straightened up to his full height and subtly shifted back his shoulders and attempted to look bored. The audience tried to call out to him. First, it was the high-pitched children's voices, and then the adults were joining in, asking what he was doing, why he was in the cage. Did he need help? Someone recognized him, and his name spread like wildfire through the crowd, which was becoming deeper by the minute. "It's the Snow Boy." "What's that again?" "Oh, you know, those people who have the roses on their roof." Who were all these people hanging around on a weekday at the zoo? Didn't they have jobs? Shouldn't the children be in school? No wonder this country was such a mess. The district tributes began to circle, taunting him. There was a pair from District 11. There was that vicious little boy who had called for his death, and several new ones, too. He remembered the hatred in the truck and wondered what would happen if they attacked him as a pack. Perhaps the audience would only cheer them on. Coriolanus tried not to panic, but he could feel sweat running down his sides. All the faces of nearby tributes, of the crowds at the bar, began to blur. Their features became indistinct, leaving only dark and light patches of skin, broken by the pinkish red of their open mouths. His limbs felt numb, his lungs starved for air. He was beginning to consider making a break for the chute and attempt to climb, when a voice behind him softly said, "One." Without turning, he knew it was the girl, his girl, and he felt immediate relief that he was not entirely alone. He thought of how cleverly she had played the audience after the mayor's assault, how she had won them all with her song. She was right, of course. He had to make this moment look intentional or it was all over. He took a deep breath and turned to where she sat, and casually fixing the white rose behind her ear. She always seemed to be approving her appearance, arranging her ruffles in District 12, grooming her hair at the train station, and now adorning herself with this rose. He extended his hand to her as if she was the grandest lady in the Capitol. The edges of Lucy Gray's mouth curled up, and as she took his hand, her touch sent tiny electrical sparks up his arm, and he felt as if a bit of her onstage charisma had been transferred to him. He made a small bow as she stood with exaggerated elegance. "She's on stage. You're on stage. This is the show," he thought. And he lifted his head and he asked, "Would you care to me to feel my neighbors?" "Oh, I would be delighted," she said as if it were an afternoon tea. "My left side is better," she murmured, lightly brushing her cheek. He wasn't sure what to do with that information, so he started to guide her to the left. Lucy Gray gave the spectators a big smile, seemingly pleased to be there, but as he led her to the bars, he could feel her fingers clenching his like a vice. A shallow moat ran between the rocky structures and the bars of the monkey house, and once formed a watery barrier between the animals and the visitors, but now it was bone dry. They descended 3 steps, crossed the moat, and climbed back up to a shelf that ran around the enclosure, putting them eye to eye with the patrons. Coriolanus chose a spot several yards from one of the cameras and let it come to him. There, a gaggle of small children stood in a cluster. The bars were spaced about 4 inches apart, but not enough room to slide a whole body between. Still ample if you wanted to reach your hand through, though. The children fell silent as they approached, pressing back into their parents' legs. Coriolanus thought that the afternoon tea image was as good as any, so he continued to treat the situation with that same lightness. "Well, how do you do?" he said, leaning over to the children. I brought along a friend of mine. Would you like to meet her? The children shifted around, and there were a few giggles, and one little boy shouted, "Yeah!" And he slapped the bar with a hand a few times, and then shoved them into his pockets uncertainly. We saw her on the television. Coriolanus led Lucy Gray right up to the bars. Well, may I present Miss Lucy Gray Baird? The audience had fallen silent now, nervous at her proximity to the children, but eager to hear what the strange tribute was going to say. Lucy Gray went down on one knee, about a foot from the bars. Well, hi there. I'm Lucy Gray. What's your name? Pontius, said the boy, glancing up to his mother for reassurance. She looked warily at Lucy Gray, but the girl ignored her. Well, how do you do, Pontius? She said. And like any well-bred capital lad, the boy thrust his hand out to shake. Lucy Gray raised her hand to meet his, but refrained from sticking it through the bars, which might have appeared threatening. As a result, it was the boy who reached into the cage to make contact. She squeezed his hand warmly. Well, it's so nice to meet you. Is this your sister? Lucy Gray nodded to the little girl next to him. She stood saucer-eyed as she sucked on a finger. That's Venus. That's Venus, he said. She's only 4. Well, I think 4 is a very smart age to be, said Lucy Gray. It's nice to meet you, Venus. I liked your song, whispered Venus. You did? Said Lucy Gray. Well, that's so sweet. All right, well, you keep watching, Precious, and I'll try to sing you another one, okay? Venus nodded and then buried her head in her mother's skirt, bringing laughter and a few ahs from the crowd. Lucy Gray began to sidestep her way along the fence, engaging the children as she went. Coriolanus hung back a bit to give her space. Did you bring your snake? A girl clutching dripping strawberry ice pop asked her hopefully. Well, I sure wish I had. That snake was a particular friend of mine, Lucy Gray told her. Do you have a pet? I have a fish, said the girl, and she leaned into the bars. His name is Bub. She transferred her treat to the other hand and reached through the bars for Lucy Gray. Can I touch your dress? Streaks of ruby syrup ran from her fist to her elbow, but Lucy Gray just laughed and offered up a bit of her skirt. The girl ran a tentative finger over the ruffles. It's pretty. Well, I like yours too. The girl's dress was faded, printed thing, nothing to remark on, but Lucy Gray said, polka dots always make me feel happy. And the girl beamed. Coriolanus could sense that the audience was beginning to warm up to his tribute, no longer bothering to keep their distance. People were easily manipulated when it came to their children. It pleased them to see them pleased. Instinctively, Lucy Gray seemed to know this, ignoring the adults as she moved along. She had almost reached one of the cameras when with its accompanying reporter. She must have sensed it, but when she rose and found it directly in her face, she gave a slight start and then laughed. Oh, well, hi there. Are we on television? The Capitol reporter, a young man eager for a story, leaned in hungrily. Yes, well, we certainly are. Well, and who might you be? She asked. I'm Lepidus Malmsey with Capitol News, he said, flashing a grin. So, Lucy, you're the tribute from District 12? It's Lucy Gray, and I'm not really from 12, she said. My people are Covey, musicians by trade. We just took a long term one day, and were obliged to stay there. Oh, so, what district are you from, then? Asked Lepidus. Well, no district in particular. We move from place to place as fancy takes us. Lucy Gray caught herself. Well, we used to anyway, before the peacekeepers rounded us up a few years back. But now you're District 12 citizens, he insisted. If you say so. Lucy Gray's eyes drifted back to the crowd as if she was in danger of being bored. The reporter could feel her slipping away. Your dress has been a big hit in the Capitol. Has it? Well, the Covey do love color, and me more than most. But this was my mama's, so it's extra special to me, she said. Is she in District 12? Lepidus asked. Just her bones, darling. Just her pearly white bones. Lucy Gray stared directly at the reporter, who seemed to have trouble forming his next question. She watched him struggle for a moment, and then gestured to Coriolanus. So, do you know my mentor? His name is Coriolanus Snow. He's a Capitol boy, and clearly I got the cake with the cream, because nobody else's mentor even bothered to show up to welcome them. Well, he gave us all a surprise. Did your teachers tell you to be here, Coriolanus? Asked Lepidus. Coriolanus stepped towards the cameras and tried for a likable, but hint of roguishness. Actually, they didn't tell me not to. Laughter rippled through the crowd, but I do remember them saying that I was to introduce Lucy Gray to the Capitol, so I took that job seriously. So you didn't have a second thought about diving into a cage of tributes? Prompted the reporter. I had a second and a third, and I imagine a fourth and fifth, but those will all be hitting me sometime soon, admitted Coriolanus. But if she's brave enough to be here, then shouldn't I be? Oh, for the record, I didn't have a choice, said Lucy Gray. For the record, neither did I, said Coriolanus. After I heard you sing, I couldn't keep myself away. I confess, I'm a fan. Lucy Gray gave her skirt a swish, and a smattering of applause came from the crowd. Well, I just hope for your sake that the Academy agrees with you, Coriolanus, said Lepidus. I think you about to find out. Coriolanus turned to see metal doors, their windows reinforced with grates, swinging open in the back of the monkey house, and a quartet of peacekeepers marched in and headed straight for him. He turned to the camera, intent on making a good exit. Well, thank you all for joining us, he said. Remember, that is Lucy Gray Baird, representing District 12. Drop by the zoo if you have a minute and say hello. I promise, she really is worth the effort. Lucy Gray extended her hand to him with a delicate droop of the wrist that invited a kiss. He obliged, and when his lips brushed her skin, he felt a pleasant tingle. After giving the audience one last wave, he stepped up calmly to meet the peacekeepers. One nodded tersely, and without a word he followed them from the enclosure to a respectable applause. When the doors closed behind him, his breath came out in a huff, and he realized how afraid he had been in there. He silently congratulated himself for maintaining grace under pressure, but the scowls of the peacekeeper suggested that they did not share his opinion. What are you playing at? A peacekeeper demanded. You're not allowed in there. So I thought until your cohorts unceremoniously dumped me down a chute, Coriolanus replied, and he thought that the combination of the word cohorts and unceremoniously had just the right note of superiority. I only signed up for the ride to the zoo, and I'd be happy to explain the whole thing if your presiding officer would identify the peacekeepers who did this. But to you, I'll just offer my thanks. Uh-huh, she said flatly. Well, we have orders to escort you to the academy. Great, even better, said Coriolanus, sounding more confident than he felt. The quick reaction from the school unsettled him. Although the television in the back of the peacekeeper's van was broken, he was able to catch glimpses of the story along the huge public screens that dotted the Capitol. Nervous energy began to bubble up as he saw the first images of Lucy Gray and then himself beaming out over the city. He could never have planned anything this audacious, but since it had happened, he might as well enjoy it. And really, he thought, he had given a fine performance, had kept his head, stood his ground, featured the girl, and she was a natural. He handled it all with dignity and a little ironic humor. By the time he reached the academy, he had recovered his composure and ascended the steps with assurance. It helped that every head was turning his way, and had there been no peacekeepers to hold them at bay, he felt sure that his schoolmates would have swarmed him. He thought that he would be taken to the office, but the guard deposited him on a bench outside a door to, of all places, the high biology lab, which was restricted to the senior students most gifted in science. And although it was not his favorite subject, the smell of formaldehyde triggered his gag reflex. He loathed working with a partner, too. He did sufficiently well in genetic manipulation, though, and landed a spot in the class. Nothing like that little EO Jasper whiz who seemed to have been born with a microscope attached to her eye. He was always gracious to Io, though. Sorry, Io, not Io. And as a result, she adored him. With unpopular people, such a minor effort went a long way. But who was he to feel superior? Across from the bench on the bulletin board for students, a memo had been posted. You okay, honey? You want out? Yeah? You want out? Okay, you can come out. You can come out if you want to just sleep on Mommy's shoulder. Right here. You're okay. Yeah. You're okay. Mommy's going to get a cup of coffee for real quick while you're doing this. Okay. Okay. You're fine. You're fine. The memo read, 10th Hunger Games Mentor Assignments. District 1, boy, Livia Cardew. Girl, Palmyra Monty. District 2, boy, Sejanus Plinth. Girl, Flora's friend. 3, boy, Io Jasper. Girl, Urban Kenneville. 4, Persephone Price. Fetus Creed. 5, Dennis Fling. Iphigenia Moss. 6, Apollo Ring. Diana Ring. Interesting. 7, Venispia Sickle. Pliny Harrington. District 8, Juno Phillips. Hilarious Heavensby. Heavensby, like Heavensby Hall. District 9, Gaius Breen. Androculus Anderson. District 10, Domita Wimswick. Arcane Crane. District 11, Clemencia Dovecote. Felix Ravenstill. District 12, Lysistrata Vickers and Coriolanus Snow. Could there be a more stinging public reminder of his precarious position than to dangle there at the end like an afterthought? I know, she's growing so much, it's crazy. After Coriolanus spent a few minutes puzzling over why he'd been brought to the lab, the guard told him that he could go in, and at his tentative knock, a voice he recognized as Dean Highbottom's bid him to enter. He had expected Satria to be present, but found only one other person in the lab, a small, stooped old woman with fizzy gray hair who was teasing a caged rabbit with a metal rod. She poked at it through the mesh until the creature, which had been modified to have the jaw strength of a pit bull, yanked the thing from her hand and snapped it into two. And then she straightened as well as she could and turned her attention to Coriolanus and exclaimed, "Well, hippity-hoppity!" Dr. Volymia Gall, the head game maker and mastermind behind the Capitol's experimental weapons division, had unnerved Coriolanus since childhood. On a school field trip, his class of 9-year-olds had watched as she had melted the flesh off of a lab rat, and with some sort of laser, she then asked anyone if they had any pets that they were tired of. Ugh. Coriolanus had no pets, but how could they afford to feed one anyway? Still, Pluribus Bell had a fluffy white cat named Boa Bell that would lie in her owner's lap and bat around at the ends of his powdered wig. She had taken fancy to Coriolanus and would start up a raspy, mechanical purr the moment that he petted her. On those dreary days when he slogged through the wintry slush to trade back a bag of lima beans for more cabbage, it was her silly, silky warmth that had consoled him. It upset him to think of Boa Bell ending up in the lab. Coriolanus knew that Dr. Gall had taught a class at the university, but he had seldom seen her at the academy. As head game maker, though, anything related to the Hunger Games fell under her purview. Could this trip to the zoo have been brought on by her? Was he about to lose his mentorship? Hippity-hoppity! Dr. Gall grinned. How was the zoo? And then she was laughing. It's like a children's rhyme. Hippity-hoppity, how was the zoo? You fell in a cage and your tribute did too. Coriolanus's lips stretched into a weak smile, and his eyes darted over to Dean Highbottom for some clue as to how to react. The man sat slumped at the lab table, rubbing his temples in a way that suggested that he had a pounding headache. No help there. I did, Coriolanus said. We did. Well, we fell in a cage. Dr. Gall raised her eyebrows at him as if expecting more. And we landed on stage, he added. Exactly. That's exactly what you did. Dr. Gall gave him an approving look. You're good at games. One day, maybe you'll be the game maker. The thought had never crossed his mind. No disrespect to Remus, but it didn't really seem like much of a job, or like it required any particular skill. He just tossed in kids and weapons to an arena and let them fight it out. He supposed that they had to organize the reapings and film the games and all that, but he had hoped for a more challenging career. Yeah, funny. Yeah, I got a great deal to learn before I can even think of doing that, though, he said modestly. The instinct is there. That's what matters, said Dr. Gall. So tell me, what made you go into the cage? It had been an accident, and he was about to say so when he thought of Lucy Gray whispering the words, "Own it." Well, my tribute, she's on the smaller side, the kind who's gone in 5 minutes in the Hunger Games, but she's appealing in a scruffy sort of way with the singing and all that. Coriolanus paused for a moment as if reviewing his plan. I don't think she stands a chance of winning, but that isn't the point, is it? I was told that we were trying to engage the audience, and that's my assignment, to get people to watch. So I asked myself, how do I even reach the audience? I gotta go where the cameras are. Dr. Gall nodded. Yes, yes, there's no Hunger Games without the audience. She turned to the dean. You see, Casca, this one took initiative. He understands the importance of keeping the games alive. Dean Highbottom squinted at him skeptically. Does he? Or is he just showboating for a better grade? What do you think the purpose of the Hunger Games is, Coriolanus? To punish the districts for the rebellion, Coriolanus said without hesitation. Yes, yes, but punishment could take on a myriad of forms, said the dean. Why the Hunger Games? Coriolanus opened his mouth and then hesitated. Why the Hunger Games? Why not drop bombs or cancel food shipments or stage executions on the steps of the justice buildings in the districts? His mind jumped to Lucy Gray kneeling at the bars of the cage, engaging the children, the thawing of the crowd. They were connected in a way that he couldn't quite articulate. Well, it's because of the children. They matter to people. How do they matter? Dean Highbottom pressed. Well, people love children, said Coriolanus, but even as the words came out of his mouth, he questioned them. During the war, he had been bombed and starved and abused in multiple ways, and not just by the rebels. A cabbage ripped from his hands, a peacekeeper bruising his jaw when he mistakenly wandered too close to the president's mansion. He thought of the time that he had collapsed and lain in the street with the swan flu, and no one would stop to help him. Racked with chills, burning with fever, limbs spiked with pain. Even though she was sick herself, Tigress found him that night and somehow had gotten him home. It is a little Professor Snapey, you're right. He faltered. Sometimes they do, he added, but everything he said now lacked conviction, and when he thought about it, people's love of children seemed to be a very fickle thing, actually. I don't know why, he admitted. Dean Highbottom shot Dr. Gall. Look, you see? He's a failed experiment. If no one watches, she snapped back. She gave Coriolanus an indulgent smile. He's a child himself. Give him time. I've got a good feeling about this one. Well, anyway, I'm off to visit my mutts. She patted Coriolanus on the arm as she shuffled toward the door. Very hush-hush, but there's something wonderful going on with the reptiles. Coriolanus made as if he was going to follow, but Dean Highbottom's voice stopped him. So your whole performance was planned. That's odd, because when you stepped up in the cage, I thought you were thinking about running. It was more rather the physical entrance than I had envisioned. It took some time to get my bearings, and again, I have a great many things to learn, said Coriolanus. Boundaries being among them. You'll be receiving a demerit for engaging in reckless behavior that could have injured a student. You, namely. It'll go on your permanent record, said the dean. A demerit? What did that even mean? Coriolanus would have to review the Academy student guide so that he could object to the punishment. He was distracted by the dean, who pulled a small bottle from his pocket, twisted it open, and applied 3 drops of clear liquid to his tongue. Whatever was in that bottle, most likely morphling, worked quickly, because Dean Highbottom's whole body relaxed and a dreaminess settled in his eyes. He smiled unpleasantly. 3 such demerits and you'll be expelled. Ooh. Let's see how long this next chapter is. Oh, my sweet angel. I think we can do it. What do you think? Do you think we can do it? Do you think we can do it, my sweet angel? Or are you waking up? Stay sleepy. Stay sleepy. What's wrong? Stay sleepy, my angel. Yeah. Okay, let's try chapter 5. Let's see if we can do chapter 5. Oh, do you want to go in your bouncy now that you're awake? Yeah, do you a little bit want to? You might want to. You look like you're licking mommy's shoulder like you want a chewy. Do you want a chewy? Yeah? You can go in your bouncy. Hi, my angel. Hi, my angel. Here you go. Lean your head back. Whee! Here you go. Here, let's put this under all your chins so that you have a dry shirt under your chins. Yeah, that's for underneath them. You don't want drool all over your shirt, huh? You smiley girl. Hi, beautiful angel. You are the prettiest girl in the whole wide world. You got mommy's hair in your hand. That's no good. That's gonna hurt your fingies later if it gets too tight. Let's get that off. Okay, here you go. Here's your chewy. You can have it. Oops, I knocked the camera over. Sorry about that, guys. You have it now. You can chew it. Yeah, that's for you. Should we read? Yeah. Should we read? That was a good nap. It wasn't a long nap, but it was a good one. Yeah. You look still tired, but let's keep reading, okay? Chapter 5. Coriolanus had never received an official reprimand of any kind, nothing that would stain his spotless record. But, he started to protest. Go, before you receive a second for insubordination, said Dean Highbottom. There was no give in the statement, no invitation to negotiate. Coriolanus did as he had been directed. Had Dean Highbottom actually used the word expelled, Coriolanus left the academy in a state of agitation, but once again the rush of attention followed and quieted his distress. From his fellow students in the hallway, from Tigress and Grandmama as they ate a quiet supper of fried eggs and cabbage soup, from complete strangers, still as he made his way back to the zoo that evening, eager to keep his hand in the games. The soft orange glow of the sunset suffused the city, and a cool breeze swept away the suffocating heat of the day. Officials had extended the zoo's hours until 9 o'clock, allowing the citizens to see the tributes, but there had been no more live coverage since his early visit. Coriolanus had decided to make another appearance to check on Lucy Gray, but suggested that she sing another song. The audience would love that. Perhaps it would draw the cameras back again. And as he wound through the paths of the zoo, he was filled with nostalgia for the pleasant days that he had spent there as a child. But he felt saddened by the emptiness of the cages. They had once been full of fascinating creatures from the capital's genetic ark. Now, in one, a lone tortoise lay in the mud, wheezing. A bedraggled toucan squawked in the high branches, fluttering freely from one enclosure to the next. There were rare survivors of the war, as most animals had been starved or had been eaten. A pair of scrawny raccoons that had likely wandered in from the adjacent city park dug in an overturned trash can. The only beasts thriving were the rats that chased one another around the edges of the fountains and scurried across a path mere feet away. As Coriolanus neared the monkey house, the paths became more populated, and a crowd of about 100 people curved from one side of the bars to the other. Someone jostled his arm as they sped by, and he recognized Lepidus Malsby pushing ahead through the visitors with the cameraman. A sort of commotion was occurring down front, and he climbed up on a boulder to get a better view. To his chagrin, he saw Sejanus standing at the edge of the cage with a large backpack beside him. He held what appeared to be a sandwich through the bars, offering it to the tributes within. For a moment, they were all hanging back. Coriolanus could not hear his words, but he seemed to be trying to coax Dill, the girl from District 11, to take it. What was Sejanus up to? Was he trying to outdo him and steal the day's thunder? To take this idea of coming to the zoo and then dress it up in a way that Coriolanus could never compete with because he couldn't afford to? Was that backpack filled with sandwiches? This girl wasn't even his tribute. When Sejanus caught sight of Coriolanus, his face brightened and he waved him over. Casually, Coriolanus made his way through the crowd, soaking up their attention. Trouble? He said, and he surveyed the backpack. It was overflowing not only with sandwiches, but with fresh plums as well. None of them trust me. Why should they? Said Sejanus. A self-important little girl marched up beside them and pointed to a sign on the pillar at the edge of the enclosure. It says, please don't feed the animals. They're not animals, though, said Sejanus. They're kids, just like you and me. They're not like me, the little girl protested. They're district, and that's why they belong in a cage. Once again, like me, Sejanus said dryly. Coriolanus, do you think that you could get your tribute to come over? Because if she does, the others might. They do have to be starving. Coriolanus's mind worked quickly. He had already received one demerit today, and he didn't wish to push his luck with Dean Highbottom. On the other hand, the demerit had been for endangerment of a student, and he was perfectly safe now on the other side of the bars. Dr. Gall, who was arguably more influential than Dean Highbottom, had complimented his initiative, and the truth was that he had no interest in ceding the stage to Sejanus. The zoo was his show. He and Lucy Gray were the stars. Even now, he could hear Lepidus whispering his name to the cameraman, feel the viewers of the Capitol watching him. He spotted Lucy Gray at the back of the enclosure, washing her hands and her face in the faucet that jutted out from the wall at knee height. She dried her hands on the ruffles of her skirt and arranged the curls and adjusted the rose behind her ear. Well, I can't treat her like it's feeding time at the zoo, Coriolanus told Sejanus. It's not consistent with his treatment of her to have a lady shoving food through the bars. Not mine. I could offer her dinner, though. Sejanus nodded immediately. Well, take whatever. Ma made extra, please. Coriolanus chose 2 sandwiches and 2 plums from the pack, and he crossed to the edge of the monkey house, where a flat rock provided a likely seat. Never in his life, not even in the worst of his years, had he left home with a clean handkerchief in his pocket. The grandmamma insisted on certain had he not left home. Sorry, let me try that again. Had he left home without a clean handkerchief in his pocket. The grandmamma insisted on certain civilities that held chaos at bay. They were great drawers of them going back generations, plain to lacy to embroidered with flowers. He spread out the worn, slightly rumpled square of white linen and laid out the food, and as he seated himself, Lucy Gray drifted up to the bars unbidden. Are those sandwiches for anybody? She asked. Just for you, he answered. She tucked her feet under her and she accepted a sandwich. After examining its contents, she took a nibble from the corner. Well, aren't you eating? He wasn't sure. The optics so far were good, singling her out again and presenting her as someone of value, but to eat with her, that might cross a line. Oh, no, I'd rather you have it, he said. Keep up your strength. Why? So I could break Jessup's neck in the arena? We both know that's not my forte, she said. His stomach growled at the smell of the sandwich, a thick slice of meatloaf on white bread. He'd missed his lunch at the academy today, and breakfast and supper at home had been meager. A dollop of ketchup was oozing out of Lucy Gray's sandwich, and it tipped the scale. He lifted the second sandwich, and he sank his teeth in. A little shock of delight ran through his body, and he resisted the impulse to devour the sandwich in just a couple of bites. Well, now it's like a picnic. Lucy Gray looked back at the other tributes, who had moved in closer but still seemed uncertain. Y'all should get one. They are real good, she called. Go on, Jessup. Emboldened, her hulking district partner slowly approached Sejanus and took the sandwich from his hand. He waited until a plum followed, and then he walked off without a word. Suddenly, other tributes rushed the fence, hands thrusting through the bars, and Sejanus filled them as fast as he could, and within a minute the backpack was almost depleted. The tributes spread out around the cage, crouching protectively over their food, wolfing it down. The only tribute who had not approached Sejanus was his own, the boy from District 2. He stood at the back of the cage. Yeah, are you coughing on your own fingers? You know you had a chewy right here. You can chew this. Yeah, that's good. There you go. Good job, honey. Good holding on, yeah. He stood at the back of the cage, arms folded over his colossal frame, staring down at his mentor. Sejanus pulled one final sandwich from his backpack and held it out to him. Marcus, this is for you. Take it, please. But Marcus remained stone-faced and immobile. Please, Marcus, Sejanus pleaded. You must be starving. Marcus looked at Sejanus up and down and politely turned his back on him. Lucy Gray watched the standoff with interest. Well, what's going on over there? What do you mean? Coriolanus asked. Well, I don't know exactly, she said, but it feels personal. The tiny boy who'd wanted to murder Coriolanus in the truck sprinted up and snatched the unclaimed sandwich. Sejanus made no move to stop him. The news team tried to engage Sejanus, but he brushed them off and disappeared into the crowd with a limp backpack over his shoulder. They shot a bit more of the tributes. They headed towards Lucy Gray and Coriolanus, who sat up straighter and ran his tongue over his teeth to clean off the meatloaf. We are here at the zoo with Coriolanus Snow and his tribute, Lucy Gray Baird. Another student was just passing out sandwiches. Is he a mentor? Lepidus thrust the mic at them for an answer. Coriolanus didn't like sharing the spotlight, but Sejanus' presence could protect him. Would Dean Highbottom give a demerit to the son of the man who had rebuilt the academy? A few days ago, he would have thought the name Snow carried more weight than Plinth, but the reaping assignments had proven him wrong. If Dean Highbottom wanted to call him on the carpet, he'd prefer to have Sejanus by his side. Yep, he is my classmate, Sejanus Plinth, he informed Lepidus. What's he up to bringing fancy sandwiches to these tributes? Surely the capital must feed them, said the reporter. Oh, for the record, the last I ate was the night before the reaping, Lucy Gray announced. So I guess it's been 3 days. Oh, okay, well, then I'll let you enjoy that sandwich, said Lepidus, and he signaled to the camera to turn back to the other tributes. Lucy Gray was on her feet in a flash, leaning into the bars and pulling it back into focus. You know, Mr. Reporter, you know what might be nice? If anybody has any food to spare, they might bring it on down here to the zoo. No fun watching the games if we're all too weak to fight, don't you think? There is some truth to that, said the reporter, unsure. Me, I like sweet things, but honestly, I'm not picky. She smiled and she bit into her plum. Okay then, he said, easing away. Coriolanus could tell that the reporter was on shaky ground. Should he really be helping solicit the citizens for food? Did it seem like a condemnation of the capital? As the news team moved to the other tributes, Lucy Gray settled back down across from him. Too much? Not for me. I'm sorry I didn't think to bring you food, he said. Well, I've been working my way through those rose petals when nobody's looking, she shrugged. You didn't know. They finished their food in silence, watching the reporter's failed attempts at getting the other tributes to talk. The sun had set now, and a rising moon had taken over the lighting. The zoo would be closing soon. I was thinking that it might be a good idea for you to sing again, said Coriolanus, and Lucy Gray sucked the last bit of flesh off of the plum pit. It might be a good idea at that. She dabbled at the corners of her mouth with a ruffle and then straightened her skirt. Her usual playful tones shifted to a somber one. So as my mentor, what do you get out of this? You're at school, right? So you get what? A better grade the more that I shine? Maybe. He felt embarrassed. Here, in the relative privacy of the corner, he realized for the first time that she would be dead in a few days. Well, of course, he'd always known that, but he had thought of her as more of a contender, his filly in the race, his dog in the fight. The more that he treated her as something special, the more she'd become human. Sejanus had told that little girl Lucy Gray was not really an animal, even if she wasn't capital. And what was he doing here now? Showboating? Like Dean Highbottom had said? I don't even really know what I get, he told her. They've never had mentors before. You don't have to. Sing, I mean. I know, she said. He still wanted her to, though. But if people like you, they might bring you more food. We don't have much extra at home. His cheeks burned in the dark. Why on earth had he admitted that to her? No? I always thought you all had plenty to spare here in the capital, she said. Idiot, he thought to himself. But then he met her gaze, and he realized for the first time she looked genuinely interested in him. Oh, no. Especially not during the war. I mean, one time I ate half a jar of paste just to stop the pain in my stomach. Yeah? How was it? She asked. That threw him, and he surprised himself by laughing. It was really sticky. Lucy Gray grinned. I'll bet. Sounds better than some of the stuff that I've made with, though. Not to make it like this is a competition. No, of course not. He grinned back. Look, I'm sorry. I'll find you some food. You shouldn't have to perform for food. Well, this wouldn't be the first time that I sang for my supper. Not by a long shot, she said. And I do so love to sing. A voice then came over the speaker to announce that the zoo was closing in 15 minutes. I'd be going, but I'll see you tomorrow. You know where to find me, she said, and Coriolanus rose and brushed off his pants. He shook out the handkerchief, folded it, and passed it through the bars to her. It's clean, he assured her. At least she'd have something to dry her face with. Well, thanks. I left mine at home, she replied. And Lucy Gray's mention of home hung in the air between them, a reminder of a door that she would never reopen, loved ones that she would never see again. He couldn't stand the thought of being torn from his own home. The apartment was the one place he unquestioningly belonged, his safe harbor, his family's stronghold, and since he didn't know how else to respond, he simply nodded a good night. Coriolanus had not gone 20 paces when he was stopped by the sound of his tribute's voice, singing sweet and clear through the night's air. Now Mommy has to think of a tune, because this is a song. Well, we're going to try. Here we go. Mommy's going to make up a tune for this song right now. Or she's going to use one that comes to mind from another song and replace the lyrics. What do you think? Okay, we're going to try You Are My Sunshine and see if that works. How do you feel about that? Because you like that tune and you don't know words, right? Yeah? You smiley girl. Down in the valley, valley so low, late in the evening, hear the train blow. This is not the tune. I don't know what I went with. The train, love, hear that train blow, late in... Oh, we went with a different song. Late in the evening, hear that train blow. The audience had been trailing out, but they turned to listen to her. Go build me a mansion, build it so high, so I can see my true love going by. See him go by, love, see him go by, so I can see my true love go by. I don't know what this tune is, you guys. This is what we're getting, right? Everyone had hushed now. The audience, the tributes. There was just Lucy Gray and the whir of the camera closing in on her. She sat in the corner, her head leaning against the bars. Go write me a letter, send it by mail, bake it and stamp it to the Capitol Jail. Capitol Jail, love, to the Capitol Jail. Make it and stamp it to the Capitol Jail. She sounded so sad now and so lost. Roses are red, love, violets are blue. Birds in the heavens know I love you. Know I love you, oh, know that I love you. Birds in the heavens know I love you. Yeah. Coriolanus stood transfixed by the music, the rush of memories that accompanied it. His mother used to sing him a song at bedtime, not this one exactly, but it had used those exact same words. Roses are red, violets are blue. It had mentioned loving him, and he thought of the photo in the silver frame that he kept on the nightstand by his bed, his beautiful mother holding him when he was about 2. They were there looking at each other and laughing. Try as he might, he could never remember a moment that picture was taken, but this song caressed his brain, calling her from the depths. He could sense her presence, almost smell the delicate scent of rose powder that she wore. Yeah. You like that song, honey? Did you like that song? You did? You like that song? Yeah? She does. She likes music. She's a big music girl. You like music? Here, you can chew on this while I finish. I only have 2 more pages. Yeah. Before she died, that awful stretch of days, months into the war, when the first major rebel aid had immobilized the city, when she went into labor and then they were unable to get her to the hospital and something had gone wrong. A hemorrhage, maybe? A great deal of blood was soaking the sheets. The cook and grandmama were trying to stop it, and Tigress was dragging him from the room, and then she was gone, and the baby, who would have been his sister, was gone too. The death of his father came right on the heels of his mother's, but that loss had not hollowed him out in the same way. Yeah. Coriolanus still kept his mother's compact in a drawer at his nightstand. In difficult times, when he had trouble falling asleep, he would click it open and inhale the rose scent of the silken cake of powder within. It never failed to calm him with the memory of how it felt to be loved like that. Bombs and blood. That was how the rebels had killed his mother, and he wondered if they had killed Lucy Gray's too. Just her white, pearly bones. She seemed to have no love for District 12. Always separating herself from it, saying that she was, what did she say? Covey? Thanks for stepping in and stepping up. Sejanus's voice startled him. He'd been sitting back a few feet concealed by one of the boulders listening to the song, and Coriolanus cleared his throat. There's nothing. I doubt any of our other classmates would have helped me, Sejanus pointed out. None of our other classmates even made an appearance, Coriolanus replied. They set us apart already. What made you think of feeding the tributes? Sejanus looked down at the empty backpack by his feet. Well, ever since the reaping, I keep imagining that I'm one of them. Yeah? Here, honey. It's right here. You don't have to drop it. It's okay. It's right here. There you go. You can hold it. You know how to hold it. Yeah. Yeah, you do. You know how to hold it. You're a smart girl. You're the smartest girl in the whole world. Yes, you are. Coriolanus almost laughed before he realized that Sejanus was serious. That seems like an odd pastime. I can't help it. Sejanus' voice dropped so low. Coriolanus had to strain to hear him now. They read my name. I walked to the stage. Now they cuffed me, and they're hitting me for no reason, and now I'm on the train in the dark, starving, all alone except for the kids I'm supposed to kill. And now I'm on display with all these strangers bringing their children to stare at me through the bars. The sound of the rusty wheels turning drew their attention to the monkey house. Yeah, it's right here. It's right here. A dozen or so bales of hay came bursting through the chute and rolled into the heap in the cage floor. Look, That must be my bed, said Sejanus. This isn't going to happen to you, Sejanus, Coriolanus told him. Could have happened, though. Easily if I weren't so rich now, he said. I would be back in District 2, maybe still in school, or maybe in the mines, but definitely in the reaping. You saw my tribute. He's hard to miss, admitted Coriolanus. I think there's a good chance that he'll win. Yeah, he was my classmate, you know, before I came here. Back at home, his name's Marcus, Sejanus continued. He's not a friend exactly, but he's certainly not an enemy. One day I caught my finger in the door and smashed it real good, and he scooped up a cup of snow off the windowsill to bring down the swelling. Didn't even ask the teacher. He just did it. Do you think he remembers you? Said Coriolanus. Hey, you want out? You want out? But you have your Chewy there and it's attached. It's attached to that, so you have to stay if you want to keep it. Or you can come out with Mommy, but you have to let it go. It's up to you. You want out or in? You want to stay there with your Chewy? Okay. I'll read it to you. Don't worry, honey. Do you think he even remembers you? Said Coriolanus. You were so little, and a lot has happened since then. Oh, yeah. He remembers me. Plinths are notorious back home. Sejanus looked pained as he said it. Notorious and deeply despised. And now you're his mentor, said Coriolanus. And now I'm his mentor, Sejanus echoed. The lights in the monkey house dimmed, and a few of the tributes moved, making out nests of hay for the night. Coriolanus spotted Marcus drinking from the spigot, splashing water over his head, and when he rose and crossed to the bales of hay, he dwarfed the others. Sejanus gave the backpack a little kick. He wouldn't take a sandwich from me. He'd rather go into the game starving than take food from my hand. Well, that's not your fault, said Coriolanus. I know. I'm so blameless that I'm choking on it, said Sejanus. Coriolanus was trying to unravel the thought when a fight broke out in the cage. Yeah. You want out? I was going to take her out, but then she wanted the Chewy, so I left her in there with it. She's just singing along. We were singing a song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Here you go. Woo. We were singing a second ago.
Oh, good singies.
Yeah. I know. I'm so blameless that I'm choking on it, said Sejanus. And Coriolanus was trying to unravel that thought when a fight broke out in the cage. Two boys had claimed the same bale of hay and they'd gone to blows over it. Marcus intervened, grabbing each of them by the collar and tossing them apart like a pair of rag dolls. They flew in the air, traveling several yards before landing in awkward heaps, and as they slunk into the shadows, Marcus took the bale of hay for his own bed, unimpressed by the scuffle. He'll still win, said Coriolanus, and if he had any doubts, Marcus's display of superior power had silenced them. He again felt the bitterness of a plinth being granted the mightiest of tributes, and he was tired of Sejanus whining over his father buying him the victor. Any one of us would really have been happy to get him. Sejanus brightened a bit. Really? Then take him. He's all yours. You're not serious, said Coriolanus. 100% serious. Sejanus sprang to his feet. I want you to have him, and I'll take Lucy Gray. It will still be horrible, but at least I don't know her. I know the crowd likes her, but what good will that do her in the arena? There's no way that she's going to beat him. Trade tributes with me. Win the games. Take the glory. Please, Coriolanus. I'll never forget that favor. For a moment, Coriolanus could taste it, the sweetness of the victory, the cheers of the crowd. If he could make Lucy Gray a favorite, imagine what he could do with a powerhouse like Marcus. And really, what chance did she have? His eyes traveled to Lucy Gray, leaning against the bars trapped like an animal. In the shadowy light, her color, her specialness had fading, making her just another drab and bruised creature. Not much of a match for the other girls, even less so for the boys. The idea of her defeating Marcus was laughable, like pitting a songbird against a grizzly bear. His mouth was forming the word done when he stopped. To win with Marcus was no win at all. It took no brains or skill or even particular luck. To win with Lucy Gray would be an incredible long shot, but historic if he pulled it off. Besides, was winning even the point, or was it to engage the audience? Thanks to him, Lucy Gray was the current star of the games and most memorable tribute, no matter who won. He thought of the hands locked together in the zoo as they took on the world. They were a team, and she trusted him. He couldn't imagine telling her that he dumped her for Marcus, or even worse, telling the audience. In addition, What guarantee did he have that Marcus would even respond to him more than he did to Sejanus? He seemed like the kind to just stonewall the lot of them. And Coriolanus would look like a fool, begging for a crumb of attention from Marcus while Lucy Gray did pirouettes around Sejanus. There was one more consideration. He had something that Sejanus Plinth wanted, and wanted badly. Sejanus had already usurped his position, his inheritance, his clothes, his candy, his sandwiches, and the privilege due to his snow. Now he was coming for his apartment, his spot at the university, his very future. He had the gall to be resentful of this good fortune, to reject it, to consider it a punishment even. If having Marcus as a tribute made Sejanus squirm, then good. Let him squirm. Lucy Gray was one thing belonging to Coriolanus that he would never, ever get. Sorry, my friend, he said mildly. I think I'm gonna keep her. Dun, dun, dun. Well. We might call this Snow's villain origin story, because it seems like he's not a fan of Sejanus Plinth. All right, we're gonna go have breakfast. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you tomorrow for a little more of Snow's villain origin story. Bye, guys.